Now it's time for the gold medal match in the W1 mixed team event, and it's China up against Russia. Well, here we take a look at how the teams got here. China took out the USA 134-120 in the quarterfinals, followed by the Czech Republic 140-138 in a tight contest. Russia took out Great Britain 134-121, and then Japan 137-129. So it's China versus Russia for gold here in Den Bosch.
These two teams, China and Russia, really the most successful of these championships. I think that's fair to say. Also, two of the biggest teams. And both national anthems we'll be hearing quite often over these 2 days of finals.
Yeah, contrasting semi-finals. Russia coming through Japan quite comfortably, 137-129, but it was a really tight one between China and the Czech Republic. 140 plays 138.
Yeah, and that's the kind of level we'll expect to see in this final, I would say. Czech Republic didn't shoot up to their level in that bronze medal match. I hope that both China and Russia give us a good show here in the gold final.
Well, here is China, the 36-year-old Liu Jing and the 20-year-old Zhang Tianxin up against Russia, the 39-year-old Elena Krutova, along with her teammate, the 32-year-old Aleksei Leonov.
And Russia beat Great Britain early in the eliminations. Great Britain were the world champions in Beijing in 2017. Looking to inherit that title here is this Russian pair.
Aleksei Leonov. And the last judge for this match is Kuhn.
China shooting first in this gold medal match. They are the top seeded W1 mixed team at this World Championships. Russia seeded third after qualification.
Yeah, China shooting a 12.86, Russia a 12.53 through the ranking round. Oh, the range is all but clear. Shooting on target one is China. Liu Jing will get this gold medal match underway. Well, don't let that 5 mislead you. A massive gust of wind came through the target area just as she was loading the bow there.
8.
And it is those gusts of wind that can make a big difference. Again, it's just picking up here in time for Elena Krutova.
7.
We always talk about wind having an effect on the arrow and the archer, but it really has an effect on the archer. when they don't have full control of their core and they don't have control of those muscles that will stabilize them against the wind, it's a much bigger challenge.
9.
Yeah, well, despite the 5 at the start for China, they only trail by 3 at the halfway stage of the first end. And you've got to say, it was this young lady here who faced the worst of the wind conditions. Her stabilizer moving around all over the place for her first arrow.
8.
That is much more like it.
And just from the way he moves, I think Zhang has quite a lot more mobility in his core than some of these other W1s. He seems to be moving his shoulders a bit more freely than we've seen some of the archers. So that will allow him to cope with the wind a little better than perhaps his teammate, Jing. You can see Leonov there. He's very sort of back into his chair, and that suggests he hasn't got that core mobility, core stability.
Well, despite that, Russia notionally lead by 4 points after the first end, but that third arrow, the 9 asterisk, is subject to a measure.
Target number 1, 8, 8, 5. Target number 2.
Having a left-handed archer in these mixed teams so they can look at each other is quite nice, isn't it? It's,
Nederland de Jong Oranje vertegenwoordigt Nederland op de grote toernooien. Meervoudig nationaal kampioen.
It's a 9, 9.
Well,
8 and a 7.
looks like that
Yes.
questionable arrow has been marked as a 9.
Yeah, definitely staying as a 9, and you know, it could have been a millimetre out, it could have been half a millimetre out. That's the judge to decide whether it's broken that line. And you know, we zoom in on the targets and we zoom in on the archers, and it's difficult. Well, it's easy to forget just how far and the context of where that target is. The arrow's moving, 50 meters down range, 5-6 meters up in the air, and the lack of deviation, even in the outer rings of the target at the archer's end, is astonishing.
Well, Russia leading after the first end of this gold medal match. So China will shoot first again. And it's Liu Zhang to get us underway.
Very stationary shot. Both archers drawing hands, don't move too much when they release.
Worst arrow so far from the Russians.
8.
Well, all dotted around the yellow ring there. And finally, Zhang getting it a little bit closer to the centre. quite enough to draw level, but Russia are back within one.
So China is leading with 1 point.
Alexei had a little flinch on that last arrow. He didn't have enough time to come down and reset, so a 7 is something he got away with there, I think.
Yeah, they led by 4 going into that end, but that one could have escaped them quite significantly, but trail by 1 as they do now, Russia. China have fought their way back in with a 35 out of 40 in that second end.
Absoluut kijken als je er nog niet geweest bent op de vetblaasavond in die Milaan. Hier vlakbij, het is 3 minuten lopen en je komt in de wonderenwereld van handbalsport. Hier in het hart van de
8 arrows from each team shot. We'll get to 16 before this match is over.
So the Russian Federation now 1 point behind, so target 2 starts to shoot.
As Chris is mentioning, a left and right-handed archer on the Russian team, which means they face each other, which means they get to do something we see quite often on the range, the fist bump. But it is quite an interesting condition. Well, we see here after a measure, the scores are in fact level at 63 apiece. So halfway through this gold medal match, and there's nothing between the two teams.
Yeah, that Russian middle arrow, it looked like it caught the bottom of the 10, but it hadn't.
There you go, a mark down to put the score level. So for the 3rd time, Jing gets the end underway.
8.
See Jing wearing that eye patch type device over her left eye, so she's actually left eye dominant, which would make her a left-handed archer, but she's decided to shoot right-handed, or needs to shoot right-handed, and is using the eye patch to block out that left eye, which would take over in the aiming process. Or maybe she just doesn't want to face her teammate in the mixed team event, you know.
Well, both going a little left there. We see that second arrow going to a measure for China. We get a closer look at the cover over the glasses for Liu.
It looks like it flips up, so she can easily remove it as she's shooting.
Strong finish from China, puts the pressure on Russia.
And Zhang's been the best archer of this match so far. Shot 3 8s, a 9 or a 10. We'll find out after this end, and a 10.
Well, 2 left to start with for Russia, and then 2 over to the right. A solid score of 32, but potentially China get marked up to a 36, subject to a measure that Chris alluded to.
It was almost in exactly the place, or it is almost in exactly the same place as the arrow in the last end that didn't get marked up. I think the arrow holes have merged into one. Hopefully this one's a little bit closer to the middle and cuts that line.
Kunnen een hele korte uitleg geven over de bogen
Well, I heard the target judge calling 2 10s there. I think that may well get marked up. Confirmation of the 4-8 for the Russian called. And we wait for that asterisk to be removed, and it has been confirmed as a 10 for China. So after 3 of 4 ends, China are leading by 4.
And once again, it's all about improving as the match goes on. They started with a 29, then shot a 34, then a 36, and they're really finding themselves in this match.
The groove. Well, Russia have been up and down, a 33, a 30 and a 32. Leaves them trailing by 4 to an ever-improving Chinese team. Russia, for the first time in this match, will shoot first. And it's the final end of the regulation ends here in the W1 mixed team gold medal match. It's not a bad start.
It's what you need in this circumstance.
And it's her best arrow, Elena Krutova. What can Aleksei Leonov do?
9.
At the start of this end, they had a 4-point deficit to make up.
Well, look, here's the wind again, right down at the shooting end of the range.
Yeah.
And it's again falling to Liu Zhang. Well, she's handled it a lot better than she did last time around, right at the beginning of the match.
And maybe she just needed to settle down. Maybe she's not finding this wind a problem. And it was more nerves that caused her to deviate at the start.
Well, it's a high-class start to this fourth and final end here. 19 from Russia out of a maximum 20, but China got the maximum. Well, a great finish from Russia. 37 out of a possible 40, but the door is wide open for China.
14 points from 2 arrows required.
Yeah, and those 14 points will take them to the World Championship title here in Den Bosch.
9. So we need a 5 to win.
Well, here we go. The man of the moment.
It's 8.
And needed a 5, but scores an 8.
China wins.
They level up on points, 37 all in the final end, but it was enough for China to take the gold medal here in the W1 mixed team event. China are the world champions, Liu Jing and Zhang Tianxin.
And Zhang receives the Archer of the Match award for that one as well. He shot 3 10s, the most of any of the 4 athletes we've seen on the field of play. And he finished it well too, to secure that first world champion title of these championships for China.
It's